Hi, everyone. I'm Mara Webster with SAG-AFTRA Foundation, and thank you so much for tuning in to watch another one of our Conversations at Home videos today. Before I hand over to today's amazing panel that we're so thrilled to have, I want to quickly remind everyone watching these that the SAG-AFTRA Foundation is a nonprofit organization. As such, we're continuing to raise money for our COVID-19 Emergency Assistance Fund, which is supporting actors who are out of work right now with all of the film and television productions being closed. So please check out the details below this video and consider supporting if you're able to in any way. And it is my wonderful pleasure to hand over to today's moderator, Malcolm Venable.
So I'm Malcolm Venable, Senior Editor at TV Guide. I'm so pleased to be here today with the co-showrunner of 20s and the cast, Susan Fales-Hill, Christina Elmore, who is Marie, Gabrielle Graham, who is Nia, and of course, Jonica T. Gibbs, who plays Hattie. I love this series and enjoyed it so thoroughly. I thought it's funny and vibrant and necessary. And so I just want to jump right in. The first question I'm going to ask you all, and this goes for each of you, but how are you holding up right now and holding a space for yourselves as Black creatives? Particularly in comedy at a time when not a whole lot seems to be very funny, and why is this story important? And anyone can take this one.
So for me personally, the story is important, to have adequate representation. I know growing up for myself, dealing with certain feelings that I didn't know how to explain or didn't know how to relate. I didn't find a lot of relatability to anyone. And I watched a lot of television and movies as a kid, like to the point where my grandma had to take it away from me and be like, no TV now. And still, I didn't see anything that felt like me, And so I think that 20s is a great opportunity for a different demographic that's never been given a platform to be seen. And I'm grateful to be a part of it.
Speaking as the crone of the group, I'm 57 years old. I was a child during all of the 60s riots, particularly the year of fire, 1968. I was a grown woman running a different world during the 1992 uprisings in Los Angeles. So this is round 3 of our unresolved racial history. But I see a sea change in where we are because the discussion is much more honest. The gloves have come off in a very healthy way. You have a lot of very prominent Black people at every level of society who are at the table demanding change, including Lena Waithe, our creator. I can't think of a better time to have a vehicle like this, which from its inception dealt with the erasure of Black people in film historically and in television historically, and flips it all on its ear. So already it's funny because one of our characters in the show is a white woman who's very woke. And we went totally overboard with her in terms of she's like apologizing for her privilege, making up for her privilege. And we wrote this, 2 months ago before all this. So we can't wait to get back on set and tell these stories that remind everybody of our common humanity, whether you are queer, straight, Black, white. It is the separatism and the erasure that have brought us to this past, in addition to 400 years of oppression. But it's the exclusion of Black people that has made us this unknown, this alien still in our own land. So can't wait to get back on set.
And I know for me, the shows like this, I've been seeking out shows with Black people that also bring me joy. This has been such a time of a lot of sort of things are coming up in all of us. And the fact that we have been erased and that we've been sort of living in these numb little bubbles, and then another person is killed and sort of breaks the bubble, and you try to rebuild it so that you have some armor. And I know for me, part of my armor has been seeking out images of Black people experiencing joy. And so I love that about our show, that it's so important, and it is moving the culture forward, but it's also just really funny and has a lot of heart. And that's been like so good for my soul in the last several weeks.
Yeah, no, for me, it's been difficult, and I feel like the only choice I felt like there were so many things happening, and I didn't know where to start or what to do because there's so many things out of my control, and I had to just think about what do I have control of right now? What's the first step that I can do to help to make a difference? And also just doing a lot of journaling and a lot of reflecting and thinking about how I may have possibly contributed by not doing enough, and waiting for something catastrophic to happen in order to take action instead of just doing it because I know other people are suffering. And so I think like stories like the story that we're telling is very important, that stories need to accurately represent what's happening in reality. And if there isn't representation on screen, then people are going to live in a fantasy land. So yeah.
Gabrielle, if it makes you feel any better, I got an email from someone saying that one of her friends felt empowered to stand up in her workplace and demand rights after seeing the What Would Todd Do episode that was centered around you.
Yeah.
So, you know, the sugared pill of comedy is very potent. And I agree with Christina, not just for you, Christina, but for all of our people through the centuries, humor has been our armor. I mean, there is no way we would have survived all of this without humor and without faith and without hope in spite of what appears to be a hopeless and permanent situation. So,
yeah.
Speaking of Hattie, let's dig into Hattie. I love Hattie because let's just put it out there. Hattie is kind of a mess. Like oftentimes we want to see positive Black portrayals and see heroes, and she is the hero and she's positive. Hattie is selfish. She's unprofessional. She's kind of oblivious, but she's also very, very lovable. And I was wondering, Jonica, can you talk about becoming Hattie, the process of landing this role, and how did you make us fall in love with this very complicated?
You know, honestly, from the moment I read the script before I even auditioned, I fell in love with Hattie. The pilot script, I was like, this character is me at a point in my life, a chapter in my life. I'm evolved, thank God. I fell in love with the character immediately. I thought she was hilarious. I loved the dynamic between her and her friends. And how, like you said, she was lovable at the same time. So honestly, I think that when it came to me projecting my portrayal of the character, it was pretty fluid and easygoing, and I felt great about it. And Hattie is, you're right, she's a mess, but she's like a confident mess. Like she's like, but I'm fly though, but I'm still gonna get these ladies though.
I definitely want to be
she's like, she's like, I don't have a job, but I'm gonna get one. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that honestly, that's a great representation of the type of mentality you kind of have to have coming here. Because so much when it comes to interceding into the industry is out of your control, and there is no timeline, and you really just have to have the mental strength to know that whatever you want, it is attainable. And I think Hattie has that to the T. She's like, I ain't worried about it, which is kind of to a fault in a lot of regards, because now she's sleeping on her friend's couch, However, it takes. What'd you say, Susan?
Susan, please.
No, I just wanted to interject that she represents, the character represents a wonderful evolution, because there was a time when we had to always be perfect. Mm-hmm. And there are millions of kids around the world, many of them white, who are just like Hattie. And the freedom that a Black child could have to be a mess is important. So I just want to say that, coming from the generation of you better be perfect at all times, I'm happy to see a mess. It is liberating to say it's okay and you're still lovable.
It's okay, exactly. And you're going to get there.
And Jonica has this lovableness that you just, you want to take her home. So.
Susan, actually, that was my next question was exactly about that. And for you specifically, this 20s is not the first pioneering show that you have been a part of. And I was just curious, why did you come on board? And, you know, when you were part of shows including A Different World that were so important, did you ever envision a time when we would see Black queer people so thoroughly fleshed out and at the front of the story?
You know, I left television for almost 20 years because of the impossibility of representing the full range of who we are. Because I was exhausted at being told that I and the people that I knew did not exist. And people like Jonica didn't exist. And so God bless Lena. I met her 6 years ago, and she was starting to work on this concept. And she said, "You're going to come run my show." And I was like, "Okay, sure, kid." But then when it was happening and she said, "Will you come do this?" I said it would be an honor, because I really believe in the transformative power of television. I witnessed it with A Different World. When we thought we were doing a little episode, suddenly you were changing hearts and minds. And I'm hopeful that this is going to do the same thing for queer people that Different World did for young African Americans. So I could not have imagined this 20 years ago. No, I couldn't have imagined it 10 years ago. I thought I was done with TV, and I'm really excited to be part of this.
Wow. What kind of response have you all heard, Jonica especially? What are people saying to you about what you're doing?
You know, it's crazy. The response has been all positive. You know, I would say maybe of everyone who said anything in regards to the show, I don't even think I can think of anything. Maybe somebody, I don't know, somebody got mad at me for posting something about Kobe. I was like, okay. I was like, okay. But, you know, other than that, I've seen I've gotten DMs from so many different demographics. I think that initially, you know, being at BET, I was like, you know, I wonder what the demographic would be that of the type of people that will watch the show. And knowing the type of people that have cable, I just got cable. I didn't have cable before. You know, I was on BET, and my mama has cable though, you know what I'm saying? And so do anybody that's her age and older, you know? So it was a little bit unnerving for me, I guess, initially, trying to hope, you know, and pray that I'm accepted by this demographic, because I do understand that that is a different, and they are understanding, but they're not quite like us and, you know, younger, you know, where we adjust, you know? And so I was just like, okay. But when I tell you, I've been getting so many DMs. I got women trying to holler at me. Phyllis, I got Phyllis's in my DMs. I'm like, come on, you can call me Philly. I'm like,
not Philly.
Miss Phyllis, please. I'm sorry. I know you watching me on TV, but you know, chill, calm down. But yeah, the demographic has spanned from, you know, I've had teenagers reach out to women or people in my mom's age group and beyond. So it's been honestly just the biggest blessing. Like, I feel very welcome. I had this girl stop me at the grocery store and say hello, and then she yelled out, she was like, "There's space for you in Hollywood." I was like, thank you. I appreciate that.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
I would say each of the characters is growing, and I was wondering, for Christina and Gabrielle, can you talk about what Marie and Nia are sort of growing through, and talk about the dynamic between this friend group here, please?
I guess I can speak for Marie. So Marie seems, of the three friends, she is the one who has it together. She's sort of, I mean, she's an executive at a studio. She's climbing the ladder. She's living with her boyfriend. They have a little house. They are doing all the things right and checking the boxes. And I think a big part of her sort of psyche and motivation is, if I do these things and I check all these boxes, then I'll have a great life. And I also think that she is an ambassador for that. So she is an evangelist to both Nia and Hattie, like, get y'all's life together, because then you can have all of this. But what is all of this? All of this isn't bringing her any much more joy. Hattie is the most joyous of the three, and she ain't got nothing together. So clearly it's not working. But I love that their dynamic is that it doesn't seem like these three characters should be friends just on, like, if you just went down a list of their bios.
Right,
but they have a soul connection, a sister connection that is great because it also sort of breaks all of them. So like Marie is able to experience some joys and some laughs and some things that she wouldn't without Hattie, and Nia gives her some, like, you know, yoga goo hoo that she wouldn't have. So you get to see the little break from the character, which I think is so fun. And also just to see three versions of Blackness that are so different and so specific and so layered, and just not in any way stereotypical, which has been so fun.
Mm-hmm. And I think Hattie and Marie both have strong personalities in the show, and so, you know, sometimes they butt heads a little bit, and Nia's basically, she has a dream, she wants to be an actress, and she's scared to go for it because, well, she's scared to, I guess she's just scared to fail, to try and fail, and because it's such a huge dream of hers, and then she meets someone that kind of motivates her to get back into it.
Yeah, I would say that our characters are kind of relative to how we are in real life. Like, the three of us had to spend a lot of time together during the promo tour and stuff like that. And chemistry-wise, we all just really get along really great. And I think that helps out a lot on screen because you can tell, you know. And I think fluidly we just mix really well, and just, yeah, like there's natural chemistry amongst the three of us beyond the characters. So once we pull the characters into it, it's just like it just works.
Yeah, it definitely shows. I think you can feel the authenticity. I feel like I'm eavesdropping on you all oftentimes in the episodes. There's also some very good parody of the Hollywood mechanism at large, and specifically for Black creators, and specifically for Black women. Just want to ask all of you, and particularly you, Suzanne, have you all experienced a lot of the things that show up here? The Todds, for example, the microaggressions, the putting you in boxes. A lot of the stuff is handled very well and very funny. And where does all that come from?
Reality. You just can't make it up. The Todd episode came out of the experiences of one of our writers, Ione Patricia Lloyd, who experienced a Todd when she was working in theater, and we've all known Todds. And I mean, we don't even want to keep a log of the stupid things people have said to us. I had to fire my first set of agents after 10 years because they told me they couldn't get me a job running a white show because I was a showrunner, but I wasn't white. Wow. It was like, I ran a top 5 show that had an average 20 million audience, and there are only 12 million Black people in the country, so it appealed to 8 million other people. And, you know,
right.
Went to an Ivy League school, speak 3 languages, but okay, I'm unqualified to write for white people. Oh, P.S., I've been observing y'all all these years. You all have not been observing us. So.
Right.
So anyway, I mean, you don't let it stop you or get to you, but and the greatest weapon is to take these ridiculous experiences and turn them and show them for the ludicrousy that they are. So the ludicrousness.
Yeah.
I think at the same time, 20s does a very good job of showing how oftentimes people, and obviously I'm not a Black woman, but I can see very much so how you're put in impossible situations, because if you react sort of what you would call, quote unquote, angrily to a justifiably angry a situation that would make anyone angry, if you react that way, then, you know, you get forced into the stereotype label. And then sort of you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. And I think 20s does a great job of illustrating some of those scenarios. For Jonica, Christina, and Gabrielle, I was wondering if you could talk about, for each of you, like one of your favorite moments for your character and how they sort of deal with the choices that they presented.
Gabby, you first.
My episode was the Todd episode for sure, and I had the most fun shooting that scene. And it was just Nia's time to put someone in their place. Like, she's a very chill, easygoing person, but she's not. You can't take advantage of her. You can't just. You can't just blurt out ignorant comments like that. You got to put people in their place, and that's what she did. And I had a lot of fun doing it.
My favorite scenes were definitely everything I did in the pilot. Everything felt just like magical. You know what I'm saying? And then, honestly, knowing that we were just shooting the pilot, and then there was going to be a little bit of a wait, and then, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just tried to really melt into every day and really soak it in, just, with the unknowing of what might happen next. I was like look around, like really soak this moment in. So yeah, I look at the pilot a lot. I watch the pilot while I work out often.
I love that. I think that acting-wise, some of my favorite moments are the ones where Marie's really going in on people. But as just a person enjoying the experience, my favorite moments for Marie are when she's with the other two girls. So when Nia and Hattie and Marie are all together in the car and they're singing, or they're about to go to work and they're ribbing on each other. There's just such moments of like joy and like safety being with your sisters before you go face the world of the Todds and the world of just the day to day. So that they people to huddle together before they go out. And I think that I love that so many of our episodes start that way, with a nice huddle, or they go out and they have all these issues, and they always come back together, and they sort of recharge. And so to see how that energy helps to guide them through the various travails of the day is pretty special.
Well, let's talk about love and Elmore. It was one thing that I thought was very interesting and provocative is that, there's a myth or stereotype sometimes for LGBTQ people that they are sort of preying on straight people. I know for gay men, it's that, gay men just want straight boys, and it can be a harmful kind of myth. But here, Hattie is very much into straight girls, and straight girls are very much into Hattie. And you guys run full steam at this sort of provocative concept. I'd love to hear you talk about that dynamic and why you all made the choice to go with something that might seem a little bit, quote unquote, unsafe, for lack of a better word.
Our vision of that is not that she's praying and trying to turn people, because that's also a big mythology around gay people, that they think everybody's gay and they're trying to turn everybody, and they're like, it's a power trip. In her case, her attraction to straight women has very much to do with her not being ready to really commit to anybody. And so she consistently goes after, in the same way that straight women go after guys who have 20 girlfriends and go, I'm ready to get married, but he's not. It's sort of like, why are you with the guy on the motorcycle with 20 other women? You don't want to get married. Go after the guy who's knocking on your door with the flowers. And so she's doing the queer version of that, is she's going after people who, at the end of the day, as Christina says, why don't you date somebody in a straight season? In a gay season, sorry. And so she goes after the inaccessible. And then also Lena wanted very much to deal with, from her own experience, she said this publicly, that the attraction that masculine presenting gay women have to very femme women, and that basically they are subjected to the same beauty stereotypes that everybody is. And so there's this sort of preference for that. And there's a character in the show that Hattie has no sexual interest in, who's also masculine presenting, who's gorgeous and who wants her, but she's got, there's a prize element in the feminine woman. But I think essentially for us, and we're really going to explore it in season 2, is she wants people that she can't have because she's really not ready to look someone in the eye and be seen and see them. It's relationship avoidance, which is it was a big part of my 20s.
I don't think I'm over it, so I
it was like, why? What?
Well, I think it's handled really well and really fabulous. And speaking of the character that Hattie has this thing with, there's a wonderful scene towards the end of the season where Adina.
Yes,
Adina,
is the character I was referring to. Yeah,
she challenges Hattie very much, and it's such a wonderful scene where there's a lot of tension, and Hattie gets checked. Jonica, can you talk about that storyline and how you shot that wonderful scene with your scene partner, Shiloh?
Yes. First of all, shout out to Shiloh. She's incredible. She made it so easy. Shiloh is somebody we gelled very well. It was a very, I think, a powerful scene because, yeah, I do kind of, I guess, subject to some of the, alignments in this community in terms of like how I present myself versus like what I'm trying to attract, At this point, it's become more of a like, I'm just as comfortable in these type of clothes. This like once I got a taste of what it's like to go to the club with flats on, I can't go back, like. Why? But yeah, that's the type of stuff that I don't think is always addressed, is like perception in terms of, okay, so like if I were to dress how I used to dress, nobody would naturally think that I was into women, people maybe after getting to talk to me, getting to know me a little bit, but before I had like straight hair, I had natural hair in a puff. I was way more feminine. And I felt as though, yeah, it was harder to attract women. I would get way more guys trying to holler at me. And so it is that dynamic in the, way more. I had to dress up as a femme lesbian for an acting class recently. And for the first time in like 2 years, a guy complimented me on the street. And I was just like, thank you, sir. I didn't think I had lost it, but sometimes it's cool just to get a little confirmation. And I was like, bitch, all I had to do was put on a pencil skirt and some heels. but that's not what I'm trying to attract, although I appreciate it.
Does she keep laughing like this?
Passing.
Does she keep you all cracking up like this on set?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. All the time. This is Jonica.
How do you get any work done?
This is just my real life stories I'm telling right now. It's nice to have a little confidence booster every once in a while, but at the same time. But no, talking about those dynamics is important because does it really matter? If Shiloh's character, like she said, like, I'm a woman at the end of the day. And if you went to women, then you went to me, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? So, it's a great conversation piece for sure. I really enjoyed doing the scene.
It was wonderful. For Christina and Gabrielle, Nia and Marie also have their own complications or issues, I suppose. Nia is dating, I don't know, a woo-woo kind of out to lunch boy. And then Marie's husband has complications. Can you all talk about what kind of complications you're encountering with your would-be partners or existing partners and how your character deals with them?
Go ahead, Gabby.
Well, he's just so much rude that he doesn't have a cell phone. So I think that's the biggest dilemma between them. But I think she really likes him. She's very much interested because of how much he challenges her ways of thinking. And it was really fun to shoot. I think it was really fun to shoot alongside Sean Anderson. He was very chill, he's very much the same in person, just very chill, very calm, very easygoing, and it just made the dynamic really good, I think.
He doesn't wear moccasins though. We should just put that out there so he doesn't get dragged on the internet.
Marie is living with her boyfriend of some time, who's played by the wonderful Javon McFerrin, and he they both seem to match perfectly on paper. He has this great job as an entertainment attorney, and he's lovely, and they are gonna have just beautiful light-skinned babies, and they are just they have everything together. And he's also he's a great partner in a lot of ways, and very supportive and wonderful, but has an issue with flirting with people of all sexes, and so she starts to feel rather insecure about whether he's bisexual or not, and what that means for her. And at one point, she's having a conversation with the girls and saying, "I just don't believe in it. You just can't. I just don't believe in bisexual." And what does that mean? And so I think that really deals with some fears that she has about, her own insecurities and what it means. Because somehow she'd be more comfortable if she just felt like he would be interested in another woman. Anyway, but it's complicated, and ultimately, she still says yes to his proposal. So she's a whole mess. Everybody's a mess. You're trying to figure it all out.
Which you should be in your 20s.
Yeah. She's also really young and trying to do life as though she's 35. And she's just not.
It's sad when you're a mess at 50.
That's true.
Not sad at 20.
How much of yourselves, for each of you, are in these characters? How much of yourselves in your 20s are in these characters where you like the people that you're playing, or in Susan's case, the people that you've been writing, where you like these folks, or no?
I was very like Marie.
Okay.
I had my 5-year plans. I didn't have a bisexual man in my life. I had the inaccessible man in my life. But I had the great job and the great wardrobe, and I thought I had all the answers and I had figured it out. And then life knocks you on your ASS, and you go, oh, maybe I need to rethink all of this rigidity. So I very much resonated with that character, a woman who's pulled together on the outside and a shambles on the inside. And then I'm half West Indian, so writing a West Indian character was a joy to me. It's something I've been trying to do for a long time. I actually wrote a pilot once for someone who was Jamaican, and of course it was the 90s, and they were like, what's that? Is that in Africa? So, and Jonica's character has given me a whole new realm of knowledge. We have 3 queer writers in the room, and it has been an education and a wonderful one for many of us. So actually we have more than 3 queer writers. We have 4. But anyway, that experience is beautiful, and it's just been really inspiring to see.
I would say when I really look at all 3 characters, that they all represent a different chapter in my life. I went to college very much like Marie, with the intent of knowing what I was going to do, how I was going to do it, what I was going to accomplish after, around what age I wanted to have kids and stuff like that. However, I always knew there was a deep-seated want in me to pursue acting, so it was like a confliction, And then I was in my Hattie phase, where I was just like, okay, I'm going to pursue this goal. I'm really going to go head first at it. I'm going to sacrifice. I literally lived on my best friend's couch. I only was there for a month, though. I didn't get comfortable like Hattie. I was like, I'm just gone. I just need a place while I look for a place. And she lived with her boyfriend, too. So that was another thing. They needed their space. I wasn't, I didn't get soaked in. And then like Nia, while after moving to LA and trying to find my spiritual peace, I definitely got into getting stones and the moon and the stars and astrology. I definitely had that moment on my getting closer with my inner self and inner peace. I'm in that right now, actually. I'm really on that right now. So, I would say all the characters, represent a phase or some chapter.
Okay, unfortunately, I think we're winding down, but I did want to jump into the elephant in the room, the sexy elephant in the room, Ida B. I love this storyline. It's so extra and juicy and scandalous. I would love to have you sort of talk about, Suzanne, why you chose to go this route with this very provocative storyline. And then, you know, we end on this very shocking, I won't spoil it for anyone, but a very shocking interaction, I should say, between Ida B and her employee, Hattie. Talk to us about this wild storyline, how it came about, and then what we're going to see next.
So Lena created this incredible character, Ida B, who represents all of the repression that one had to exercise in order to make it as a successful creator back in the day. She's 20 years older than Hattie, and she's had to leave her soul at the door, basically, to make it. And she didn't write her specifically bisexual or, you know, lesbian and hiding it, but as we cast the actress and we saw the interaction, it was apparent that that would be a really interesting dynamic. And so it really came out of the pilot. And then it just became just part and parcel of her character. All the things, Hattie represents the freedoms she never had to live a part of her sexuality, to write what she wants to write. I mean, there's such a sea change between now and 20 years ago. So, and they have a chemistry, and it was just clear this was a great thing to play. And so we just went with it. And fasten your seatbelts, because we explore it completely in season 2. And also fasten your seatbelt.
Susan, what you talking about?
No, I'm not saying they're nude scenes. We don't do it that way. And now with COVID, for God's sake, we're going to be like, we're going to be 8 feet apart touching slippers with a shield over yourself.
Right.
You're going to have, it's all going to be the power of suggestion. But also, fasten your seatbelt for Marie's relationship with Chuck, because we really just go big with that. And also Christina's little undercover freakness is going to come out. Her attraction to
Marie's undercover. You don't have no undercover.
And then
You're gonna let loose.
that Nia, though still respecting her vow of celibacy, has several gentleman collars, as it were, and one who will be a surprise to people. So there are a lot of twists and turns. But hopefully a really honest exploration of how messy love is and how we don't all fit neatly into categories. So there's a lot of fun to be had. And with Jonica really exploring her maturation from relationship avoidant to being ready to actually connect with someone. Yes. And something different for Marie. We're getting ready to hit the club.
We're gonna be stellar this season.
Nia finding Dark Gable. So.
Well, I think I can speak for every viewer when I say that we can't wait to see what happens next. You've given us so much to look forward to, and such a wonderful, fabulous story that is long overdue and very exciting and fulfilling and fun to watch. So thank you all very much
for
your time, and best of luck.
Well, I thank you for a great interview. This is fun,
yes,
as opposed to, so tell me about yourself. Okay.
Right.
It's my pleasure, my honor to be with you all.